Hey everybody, Alex Smart here, and today we're going to talk about passing and blocking. So a lot of people are concerned that bicyclists block the road, that they don't allow them to pass, all these things. Today I'm going to be responding to a comment that was left. So Matt Johnson says, and don't forget, bicycles cannot block traffic, i.e. riding side by side if it blocks traffic, or if the rider cannot maintain the posted speed limits. For example, there is a 55-mile-per-hour single-lane road on my beat that riders constantly ride side by side, causing a hazard to everyone. It's a solid ticket that sticks every time. There are a couple of notes here that I want to share for Matt to hear, and also for bicyclists to hear. So first of all, I did look into this, and I did not find any law that disallows riding side by side. And it makes sense if you think about it, because in a lot of situations where there's a single lane where the bicyclist is legally allowed to use the entire lane, then it makes no difference if they're side by side. So it really shouldn't be illegal. I encourage people to take the lane in these situations because it's safer, because if you're in the whole lane, car drivers won't be tempted to squeeze through. And if you're riding side by side, that's even better, because now they're definitely not going to squeeze through. I will often do that if I'm in an unsafe situation and I feel like moving to the right is going to encourage people to sneak by me. I will move further into the lane, so they either have to change lanes or wait until I have a safe spot to move over. Now, what about blocking laws? Vehicle Code 22400 that says no person shall drive upon a highway at such a slow speed as to impede or block the normal and reasonable movement of traffic unless the reduced speed is necessary for safe operation because of a grade or in compliance with the law. A lot of times a bicyclist, first of all, they can't always go as fast as cars. Again, often they do in cities, but if they can't go as fast as the car, then trying to push themselves is unsafe, because a lot of times I'm going down certain streets here in West LA, there's potholes, I actually have to slow down, and of course the potholes are always on the right where the cars are moving over and parking and all that. So I have to be in the lane of traffic because of the hazardous conditions. Now in that case, then I'm in compliance with the law, so I actually can be going at a reduced speed in the lane of traffic. Again, if there is a situation where you can move to the right, where it's not a substandard width lane, according to your vehicle code, whatever state you're in or country you're in, then I would say that you are illegal because you should be on the side of the road. Now, the other thing that's interesting is there's a letter B to this 22400 that says the Department of Transportation may determine and declare a minimum speed limit when appropriate signs giving notice thereof are erected. Now, first of all, I've never seen a minimum speed limit sign, which is hilarious that they would even have a vehicle code about that. But also, it says subdivision B of this section shall apply to vehicles subject to registration. This is another good reason why bicyclists shouldn't have to register, because you can't expect a bicyclist to follow a minimum speed law. The other thing is that there are countless studies that show that by slowing traffic, you actually make everything safer. Now, obviously, you don't want traffic to be going 10 miles an hour behind a little old lady on her bicycle, but again, most of the time in cities, bicyclists are at least going as fast as traffic, if not faster. So actually, maybe it's the car driver who shouldn't be on the road. Oh, people are going to hate me for saying that. I did find another law, 22500, but this one was talking about stopping. So not just slowing down, but actually stopping. We talk about the 4 reasons why you can take a lane if you're a bicyclist. They're overtaking and passing, making a left turn is number 2. Number 3 is hazards and substandard width lanes. So there might also be other things that a bicyclist sees that they would need to then be in the lane. So again, you kind of have to leave it up to the bicyclist, I think, because they're the ones, even if they're being a jerk, most of them are just trying to stay alive out there. The idea behind the substandard width lane is it's defined in California Vehicle Code anyway, that if a lane is too narrow for a bicycle and a vehicle to travel safely side by side within the lane, and as I point out in my Vehicle Code in All 50 States series, that this is actually in a lot of states. This law is in a lot of states, so you can check that video to see if this applies to your state. But again, if a bicycle and a vehicle cannot safely travel side by side, then the bicycle should actually take the entire lane, and the car is no longer entitled to pass. A lot of times, car drivers pass a bicyclist in this situation. They pass either across a double yellow or in a two-way left turn lane, which no one thinks about. No one thinks twice about. And there's one street, I'll show a video, where there's one street where every single car that ever passes me, where there's parked cars on the side, there's barely enough room for a bicycle to safely travel, and then a two-way left turn lane, every single car passes through the intersections, passes in the two-way left turn lane, passes over the double yellow, through that whole street. If a bicyclist did that, I guarantee you most of those people would say the bicyclist is doing something illegal for passing on the left, even though they're allowed to pass on the left and they're going faster than traffic. So all of a sudden, when a bicyclist does something, they all of a sudden don't get the same rights and responsibilities. All I'm saying with this is the reason why bicyclists can take the lane or block traffic or whatever you call it is because they are legally required to be on a public road. They are a vehicle, they have just the same rights and responsibilities. We have plenty of laws here that show that they can and should be in the lane. But I will say that I definitely side with the bicyclists in this legally, because there are plenty of laws here that show that they are allowed to be in the lane in these situations. And really, I don't understand how riding side by side changes the law. Also, by the way, one thing about the side by side is in the substandard width lane description where a bicyclist and another vehicle, they say if they can't ride side by side, the bicyclist should take the lane. Well, if another motorcycle or moped or bicycle or scooter is coming also in that lane, then they have adequate space. So then whoever's moving slower should move to the right, whether it's the scooter or the bicyclist, or sometimes they've even passed mopeds. They should actually move to the right then and let the bicyclist pass. But in the case of a car, they're just too wide. That's why the bicyclist should own the whole lane, and legally should own the whole lane. But here, so the general passing law is the only thing I can see that maybe applies here, where it's 21656, and it says that on a two-lane highway where passing is unsafe because of traffic in the opposite direction or other conditions, any vehicle proceeding upon the highway at a speed less than the normal speed of traffic, which in this case would be the bicycle, moving in the same direction of traffic at the time, behind which 5 or more vehicles are formed in a line, shall turn off the roadway at the nearest place designated as a turnout by signs erected by the authorities having jurisdiction over the highway, or wherever sufficient area for the safe turnout exists in order to permit the vehicles following to proceed. So what this is saying is when there's 5 or more people behind you, then you do have to pull over. Now, the one thing that kind of really makes me question this is in crowded streets, there's always 5 people around everyone. Like even people that are moving at the flow of traffic, like there's never not 5 people behind you. And also with bicyclists, a lot of times what happens is they end up catching everyone at the light anyway. So it's kind of, I would say that the police officers would hopefully use their judgment and realize that the bicyclists are actually not slowing down traffic. And in fact, most of the time I'm being slowed down when I'm on my bicycle by car traffic. There are many times every day where I miss traffic lights because I have to slow down for car traffic, or I can't pass someone because they're in the way blocking my way. So it kind of would be unreasonable for me to say give them a ticket because they're in my way because they're in a huge car. So I don't see how a police officer can reasonably give them a ticket just because they're smaller. They still own the lane no matter what size they are. I guess in closing, I just want to say that I'm very hesitant to blame bicyclists for taking the lane because I see the attacks that happen, that cars jutting out. I see the debris. We see a lot of things that car drivers don't see. And there are times where we look like we're having fun, we're riding side by side. But trust me, it feels safe, safety in numbers. I encourage you to really just step into the other person's shoes and actually take a bicycle and commute by bicycle several times a week. And you'll start to see really fast why the bicyclists are taking the road and riding side by side. Now, if you find vehicle codes that counter this, I'd be happy to look at them and include them in the comments or in the description of my video as an addendum. But again, I really don't think that's... I really couldn't find anything to say that bicyclists couldn't be in the lane in these situations if the lane is a substandard width lane where they couldn't share the road. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.